You're good.
All right, great. Okay, good evening, everyone. We're going to call this Town of Bristol Board of Finance regular meeting to order July 21st, 2026 at 6 p.m. in the Town Hall Meeting Room. First item on the agenda, roll call to order. All members present with the exception of Tom Pulaski and Matt Pico. We do have a quorum. Second item on the agenda, public forum. Does anyone wish to speak? Hearing and seeing none, we're going to move on to item 3A, approval of minutes, June 16th, 2026, regular meeting minutes.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes from June 16th.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 4, new business. A, presentation by auditors of fiscal year 25 audit report. So we have Catherine Patnod from O'Connor Davies here to do the presentation. I'm going to turn it over to you, Catherine.
Where would you like me to stand?
Wherever you want. This is your shop. Wherever you want.
Hi, I'm Catherine Patnod. I'm the partner in charge of your audit with PPF O'Connor Davies. So I'm just going to go over the June 30th, 2025 audit results. So we're going to talk about the highlights of the annual financial report, highlights from the single audit, required communications, recommendations from the audit, and then future considerations. So taking a look at the financial statements, you had an unmodified opinion on the financial statements, so that's the clean opinion that you're looking for. The MD&A, or the management's discussion and analysis at the beginning of the financials, is a really good executive summary of the fiscal year operations. Some changes from 2024, since we were new auditors in 2025. One thing had nothing to do with us being new, but implementation of GASB statement number 101 on compensated absences. This increased the liability for compensated absences and decreased net position by $2.9 million. This kind of happened across the board at all of my clients. The new standard just required you to think about the way you calculate that liability for accrued sick and vacation time differently. So all my clients, the liability went up, net position went down. And that's just in the government-wide statements on exhibits A and B. The one thing we did change was adding a custodial fund for the collection of the Borough of Druid City's taxes. This doesn't affect anything else in the financial statements. It's just a new statement of changes in fiduciary net position, which is exhibit F in the financials. It just shows the collection of taxes and a distribution to the borough of about $512,000. Taking a look at the government-wide activity, which is on exhibits A and B, you had capital asset additions of almost $7.3 million. These were primarily for sewer and water infrastructure, high school fields, McLuggage Manor, school HVAC and building upgrades, and road paving. Your total general obligation bonds decreased by $1.9 million, which was due to principal payments. And then your net pension liability for MERS decreased by $1.4 million to $9.7 million. Taking a look at the governmental funds on a GAAP basis, which are exhibits C, D, and E in the financials. Your general fund balance increased $736,000, which we'll take a look at in a minute with budgetary highlights. The total fund balance was $9.6 million. Of that, your unassigned fund balance was $9 million, which is about 21.7% of your general fund expenditures. The ARPA grant fund, you expended $696,000 of that grant. And the capital projects fund, the fund balance decreased $2.8 million to a deficit balance of $2.5 million. Most of this is related to the sewer project, and it's just due to the timing of financing, so your fund balance will increase once you permanently finance that and receive any grant money. The general fund on the budgetary basis, this can be found on RSI 1 in the financial statements. Your total revenues were above budget by $291,000. This included charges for services being above budget by $524,000. This was primarily due to higher tuition revenue, due to an increase in enrollment and higher tuition rates, as well as higher solid waste revenues as the hauler fees were increased as more waste was hauled. Income from investments was above budget by $213,000 due to conservative budgeting and continued high interest rates. And the property taxes were below budget by $326,000. You did collect about 98.4% of your current taxes, but there was about $100,000 reduction to the levy and then $95,000 in tax refunds, and prior tax collections came in a little under budget as well. Total expenditures were below budget by $563,000. The biggest portion of this was education by $259,000. The biggest item there was medical insurance coming in below budget. And then looking at your single audits, which is our audit of grants, the federal single audit, we tested the community development block grants and the education stabilization fund programs, and we had no findings or question costs on those. And then for the state single audit, we tested school readiness and town aid road and also had no state findings or question costs. Some of the items you would have seen in the single audit report, as well as in our recommendations, are the government auditing standard findings. We had two material weaknesses and significant deficiencies that were reported. One related to the accounts payable year-end close process, where our testing identified some material liabilities and related revenues that hadn't been recorded in the town's accounting records as of year-end, which resulted in some material audit adjustments. So our recommendation was management strengthening the internal controls over the year-end financial reporting, and just making sure that those liabilities, especially the construction-related liabilities that tend to come in later, retained balances are identified and reported timely, and then related grant revenues will also be reported in the appropriate period. The second one related to capital asset additions and disposals. We also identified some significant capital asset additions that weren't in the capital asset records initially. Subsequently, with some adjustments, they are included in the financial statements. We also recommend reviewing your assets for disposals because there weren't any in the last year. So just making sure your capital asset records are up to date. Anything that's no longer in service is out of the records. And then reviewing, implementing a formal review process to make sure all additions are captured. The two significant deficiencies were repeated from the prior year relating to timely financial reporting and getting a complete and accurate reconciliation of revenues and expenditures from the Board of Ed to the banking activity reported by the town. So once those reconciliations were done, material adjustments were made. So progress was definitely made from the previous year, but there's definitely room for improving the reconciliation and financial close procedures. And similarly, the financial recording of the scholarship and student activity funds. The general ledger activity didn't have the full revenue and expenditure activity necessary, and those reconciliations were late as well. So just making sure that record keeping is appropriately done in the general ledger. Then we had a couple other recommendations. We didn't think they were material weaknesses or significant deficiencies, but rather areas for improvement. With the town procurement process, we recommend the town strengthen the internal controls over those procurement procedures to ensure that purchases above the bid threshold are competitively bid. As when we did our testing, we found a couple areas where an item should have been bid and it wasn't. And then the education accounts payable process. We recommend that internal controls there be strengthened to segregate incompatible duties wherever possible. We know with things like these in small towns, it's sometimes hard to get appropriate segregation of duties. But it's something to look at, to make sure, whoever is entering and preparing the invoices for payment is not the same person entering vendors, or there's some mitigating control there. And the last two recommendations are for cafeteria record keeping. Currently, they're being entered based on deposits. We recommend they be recorded based on the point of sale system sales reports, rather than solely on the cash receipts collected, or at least that there's some sort of reconciliation to those. And then the scholarship funds, we recommend that they're all recorded in the general ledger, including those that are in passbooks, even though there's not much activity there. So with the financial statements and everything, the board would have also received our communication with those charged with governance. So this just tells you that our responsibility as auditors is to form and express an opinion about whether the financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects. It discusses significant estimates, which include the pension and OPEB liabilities, the compensated absences liability, and capital asset lives. It mentions that disclosures are neutral, consistent, and clear. The letter also includes detail of 3 past adjustments. These relate to prior year capital assets that were not capitalized in 24, but were capitalized in 2025. And then some Board of Ed prepaid medical expenditures should have been reported as a prepaid in 2024, but it was found during 2025. And then there were a few material correcting misstatements. These relate to those material weaknesses and significant deficiencies I discussed previously. So those related to Board of Ed general fund and education grant corrections, accounts payable and retainage corrections, and the related grant adjustments. So for future considerations, we'll take a look at some new GASB standards, because now we're auditing 2026. Myself and my team are actually out here today, so we're at the town Board of Ed, so getting everything ready for the 2026 audit. So effective in 26 is GASB 103 on financial reporting model improvements. I'm not expecting this to change anything to your numbers. It'll just, the financial statements will look a little bit different. For the management's discussion and analysis, the new standard clarifies and updates the guidance for the preparation just to improve the quality of the analysis of the changes from the prior year. So the MD&A will become much more robust. You don't have any proprietary funds, so the only other change is the budgetary comparison information. Currently that comparison is in the MD&A. Now it's required to be in the notes to RSI. So the budgetary variances will now be discussed in the notes right next, just after the budgetary schedules and the statements. Also effective for 2026 is GASB 104 and disclosure of certain capital assets. This one just says that right to use leases and subscription assets must be presented separately by major asset class. So you won't see a change. All you have are right to use leased equipment, so that's already its own separate line in the financials. And then if you had any capital assets held for sale would need to be disclosed in the footnotes. And then the last one is GASB 105 on subsequent events. This will be effective for next year, fiscal 2027. It just clarifies what subsequent events should be recognized or just disclosed in the financials. I know there's a lot of information in a short period of time, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anyone have any questions? Just a couple. So walk me through the, I guess, the process, Reader's Digest version. Audit's done.
Mm-hmm.
Your firm is responsible for filing that audit now with the state, correct?
Yes.
Is there such a thing as a, I don't know, complete audit filing, incomplete audit filing? Are there ever times when you can't file everything perhaps that needs to get filed with the state because you don't have everything that you need?
With the financial statements, those have to be uploaded at once. There's the potential the single audit could be filed separately, especially the federal single audit, but those were all filed together. If I remember correctly, I think the only thing we didn't file at the exact same time was the corrective action plan.
Okay.
That got uploaded a couple days after.
Okay, gotcha.
The financials were
So
uploaded.
eventually it all catches up and everything goes in as one. Okay.
Yeah, generally it's all uploaded at the same time to the state.
Okay. With regard to the material weaknesses and significant deficiencies, a couple of those have been carried over from year to year to year and are quite old. At what point do we get to the point where, from an auditor's perspective, enough is enough, and now it's gonna count, now at some point it's gonna count against you when the proper corrective action hasn't been taken in a timely manner? At what point do we get to that point? And I understand, obviously, material weaknesses are a little more serious than significant deficiencies are, so, but.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it's been a couple of years, I think 3 years or so on some of them. But from what I can see, progress has been made. Some of it has been improved from 24 to 25. I spoke with Kelly and Eric today, and it seems like progress is being made from 25 to 26. So as an auditor, I'm looking more at the progress that they're working on fixing things. And it's obviously difficult with turnover. It's difficult when you have limited staffing. So I'm really looking at the progress, and I think the state is looking at that too. But yeah, if it's a couple years and absolutely nothing's being done, like I would find that concerning. I think the state would find that concerning.
Anything, anybody have anything?
Fine.
Okay, you're all set, thank you very much. Okay, we're gonna move on to 4B.
I have a couple of questions, though. And I see the superintendent isn't here, so the assistant superintendent, I just wanted to ask a couple of questions, this general scholarship and student activities. It seems to be one of those issues that comes up every year. And also, there's the discussion about having segregated duties whenever possible. Have you looked at any kind of different procedure to perhaps cause more of a segregation of duties so that we can sort of get beyond this hump in future years?
I believe we have made some separation. I'll let Eric speak to him as he's completed his first year with us. We've definitely made some changes.
Yeah, and we're looking at the best possible interaction between the payroll person, the AP person, and myself to make sure things are segregated better, because like she said, same person shouldn't be entering the vendor that's paying the checks, that's recording things, so we are looking at that. And as far as the scholarship and student activity, previously the GHS scholarship account was included in the student activity funds, but now I'm breaking that out, so it's no longer there.
And that was a recommendation that you made?
Yeah, and I talked to Catherine today on what they want to see and the best path going forward for the student activity funds. Because what happens right now, the secretaries enter everything under one line item. So it's all kind of netted together. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna break that out, and I'm adding revenue and expenditure line items for each student activity fund, because there's quite a few of them, so it's gonna be pretty tedious, but I talked to Catherine about it today, and I think we are on the same page as far as the path going forward.
But once you increase all those line items, doesn't that really make it easier to get a timely reconciliation at the end of the year?
Yeah, definitely, because right now what I did last year is I put a spreadsheet together for each student activity fund, and I broke out what was revenue, what was expense. So by doing this, it's gonna eliminate that process, and it'll actually show up in the GL as it should.
And the whole lunch program issue, the cash versus point of sale, what are we gonna do to sort of tighten that up?
I've started getting reports from the cafeteria. I get their monthly profit and loss, and now I'm getting their point of sale activity, so I can kind of match everything up.
Okay.
Because they have a report they can generate right from their system that shows what all the sales were. And I can make sure that's agreeing to the cash.
Okay, thank you.
Just
I got a quick question. I don't know if you can answer this, but under the town procurement process, you had noted that there were purchases that didn't go out to bid that should have. How many were there? Do you remember what they were?
I believe there were 4 of them. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I can send them to Kelly. She can let you know. It was just out of our sample of however many that we happened to find 4 of them.
Oh, good. Okay, thank you. All right, we're gonna move on to 4B, School Department request for reappropriation of school capital projects, eliminating the school chorus room HVAC project of $22,000 to increase other school capital projects. Who wants to talk about that, Glenn?
Yeah, I can start. First of all, I apologize on that letter that was sent to you. It probably should have said band on that, 12-4, not chorus. Definitely effect, so it's the band room that we would not, we will be putting the HVAC in rather than the chorus room. After getting updated quotes, everything came in a little bit higher because the quotes are 9-10 months old, some of them, looking at those things. So we would like to request to use what we had put it across in the capital for the chorus to reallocate that to complete those other projects that were listed there.
So you would not be doing the band?
We would be doing the band, not the chorus. I
Okay,
think it's
you would
read that-
be, you would be doing the band, not the chorus, so
Yes,
the money will be
instruments.
coming out of chorus going into
Yes.
band, okay. All right, so that second bullet point for the 12,400 should really be band room HVAC, okay.
And we're doing that one because that's where the instruments are stored, so we want to make sure they're preserved. And a big part of that is the electrical work that needs to be done was not included in the original quote.
Okay. Kelly, I don't have that in front of me, or maybe I do, and it's just easier to ask you. The line item for the chorus room, was that 22,000 even?
It's in the back, like this is 2026, so it's not the current.
In the back?
I think
That was in the
dollar
capital
amounts-
improvements?
Yeah, it's one. Yeah, okay, band room.
What page do you have?
So you said, Glenn, it's coming out of chorus and going into band? That's,
Yes, or the.
okay, so it is 22,000 even on the chorus then. Okay, so you're looking for us to transfer from 5740 to all of those respective line items.
Yes.
All right, so just for everybody's, just for clarification, the money would be coming out of the new HVAC system chorus room. That is account code 57400. They would be requesting 1,800 of that to go into Life Skills HVAC, and that is 5740M. 12,400 to go to the band room HVAC, and that is 5740N. And 7,800 to the pump house generator, and that is 5740L. In the event that someone wants to make a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, and I'm gonna like to second
I'll
that.
second
Okay, we have a first and second, any discussion? And then we're gonna vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 4C, Finance Director's Monthly Report.
It's not much to report on, it's just some highlights I will give you. The recycling revenue, that we talked about, the bulky waste, the revenue that we bring in, that is going to be about 185,000 more than what's budgeted. I got, the payroll accrual is posted in the financial statement that you have in front of you. Finance director salary will be over, I will correct it in the line item transfer as it's included in your packet. Technology maintenance, that line item was over in the Board of Selectmen department. We had to purchase an HR computer for the new position. There's a few little minor items that caused that to be over. The building official department, I wanna tell you the revenue on the building official, that is going to be over budgeted 174,000. Because we just pulled a building permit for 182,000 for 97 Preston Road. So there's about 60 units being built there. So that's causing your overage, so which is beneficial, because we discussed that earlier in the year about if you're gonna go over your budgeted number for your building permits, and we are, so. The debt retirement, we just closed on the USDA loan. We received 3.6 million. We haven't yet closed on our grant portion of the USDA because the water project is still going across 395. So once that's all completed, then we'll close it up. But right now, that's still open because it's still going on. I gave you some more information regarding the band and the ARPA funds that we use for the engineering of the water project. Capital, now, capital item I wanted to discuss. I got new interest rates right now on the lease proposal for 3 pieces of equipment, which was the highway truck at $355, the brush truck at roughly $349,000, and the tanker truck for $839,000. Current interest rates is either 3.92, and that's effective as today, or 3.97. The, what are you looking at me strange?
I'm gonna let you finish and then
Okay.
I'll ask.
3.92 or 3.97 is the current interest rate. Prior to that, when we discussed it maybe 2 months ago, the interest rates were 3.6 and 3.8. So they are fluctuating because of the market. So if I want to move on that, I need to know sooner than later, so we can sign it. What happens with the lease purchase, I have 3 items I want to purchase, and they're not going to all come in a timely manner. So what happens, they put the money in an escrow account, and as I purchase and receive invoices, once the items come in, I draw down the escrow account and purchase the items. That's how it's all handled. And let's see. And then I'm still reconciling the education account right now with the school department. And the financial statements are for June 30th, 2026. I didn't submit any current financial statements because we're only like two weeks in. So there's not that much information on them, which next meeting we can have. I will disperse those.
So my question is, you said
Yep.
it was, 2 questions really,
Yep.
regarding the pumper truck.
Yep.
Or tanker truck, or whatever you call it.
Yep.
The details of some of the changes that are gonna have to happen with the tanker truck, can you speak to that?
Yes, I can
Number
speak to
one,
that.
and then number 2, I think you said it was $839 for the tanker truck?
Yes,
I
that's what
thought it was 780,000. I thought that 839 was the first number we got, and then they went back and with the discount or
was like
something, it was 7 and change.
Okay, I can ask Steve
If
that.
we did 2, if we did 2 together, I thought that it came in at 700 and change and not the 839. I thought that if that was
Like
an individual.
730?
No, I wanna say it was 780 something, if
Okay,
memory
I'll
serves me
ask.
correct. I don't know if anybody here.
I don't remember, so, okay, I can look into that.
And was that before or after the trade-in?
That's
That was before
That
the
was
trade-in, that
before
was
the
the buy 2 discount, it was coming in at 700 and high 7s.
yes, that was before the trade-in. So what I wanted to talk to you about with the tanker truck, now, when they ordered and got a quote on this, it had a certain engine in it. Is it Kensworth, I wanna say, engine? Now, the manufacturer's telling him that's not available right now. It may be available 6 months out, but not right now. So, we're trying to get a price on that. So that's the issue right now. We could go and get a price and get it marked and get it ordered and, you know, refurbish it or, you know, revise it, but they said it's like 6 months out before they will give us
Before you
an
even get a
actual
quote.
price with the engine they want. So if we, I don't know, yeah, if we do the lease purchase, then you would have the escrow account sitting there and you would have access to it. But I just worry, I don't want the purchase to be substantially more than what the original bid price was if they want a certain engine.
And if we wait on all three, so we can do them all together, the other, and the other products may,
Yeah,
Be
increase in
higher.
price or your interest rate may
or
go up.
interest rate, right?
Yes, that both can fluctuate.
And are they indicating that, so they spec'd out a truck.
Mhm.
That truck price had a specific engine in it. That price was good for 2 years because actually we're buying that, we would be purchasing or at least purchasing that vehicle 1 year earlier than what that quote and that spec was good for. Are
Yeah.
they now reporting that in 6 months, when that engine becomes available, they're going to increase the price from what the spec was that they were gonna hold for 2 years?
Yeah, that's yes, yes.
Seems pretty crappy to me, I mean, personally,
Yes, what
but
they're gonna say is that there was
it's
no
almost like a
purchase
bait and
order,
switch.
that there was no purchase order given, so it's not a signed agreement.
Well, I mean, they deal in municipal finance and municipal government all the time, that's their bread and butter, so this is nothing new.
Correct.
Todd?
Problem is, they have in late August, early September, another emissions upgrade coming, and they haven't set the standard. We're dealing with the same thing with pricing for a Freightliner truck. They can't give us a price until those emission standards are set by the feds to know how it's gonna affect the price. That's probably the same thing, I'm guessing.
I think so.
All right, so to switch gears, there's nobody that has any of the trucks that you're looking for that are unsold right now?
I don't think so.
So I'm just saying that's
I don't
probably why
think so.
why the price is fluid, because that's what we're hearing.
Okay. So in good faith, we budgeted for this money. And in good faith, the taxpayers approved that funding for these 3 vehicles. And what I'm hearing, is what I'm hearing accurate in that when we go ahead and we place these orders, we may not have enough money to pay for these 3 vehicles?
With the tanker truck, the brush truck and your highway truck should be good. The tanker truck is the issue with the engine.
Okay. Do we have the ability to place this order so that we have a placeholder, and if the quote, when that engine is available, becomes cost prohibitive, we have the ability to back out? Not really, because we already have that money sitting in an escrow account and we're paying on it, correct?
You're not paying on the lease until all that money's spent.
Okay, so
it's sitting in an
given
escrow
my
account,
scenario,
so-
do we have that ability to do that? If we were to order all 3 trucks,
Mhm.
and in 6 months from now, they say that motor is available, however, it's gonna cost you, $100,000 more for that motor, and we determine that that's cost prohibitive,
Yeah.
do we have the ability to back out at that point?
Not if you ordered it, no. I would say no. Steve and Josh that I was talking to, from the Griswold Fire Department, Josh was feeling if the increase was anything, it's not more than 50,000. That's what, I don't know the field, I can't tell you that, but that's what they were feeling.
I mean,
I know it doesn't make you
I'd
comfortable.
love to be able to say
Not to
only
be comfortable.
50,000, but
Yeah.
50,000 is a lot of money, and
No, I know, yeah, I know.
Did they have an estimate on your trade?
Pardon me?
it was a range, if memory serves me correctly, it was a range between, and I'm gonna be probably completely wrong on this, but I thought it was like, between 20 and 40,000, we'll say roughly, 18 and 40,000 or something like that, and they weren't gonna know until they saw it or received it or whatever. It was just kind of a ballpark figure they threw out to them.
The other option is to go back and do just 2 of the 3. Which means that it pushes the tanker truck into a fiscal year when we're gonna be hitting a blip. So it's gonna be a bad year
Right,
to have that additional debt.
The cost of those trucks are only gonna go higher.
Right,
right.
So, I
Very
mean,
true.
I'm sitting here thinking, you're almost caught between a rock and a hard place, because if you don't fund it now, and you push it off instead of 800, say it comes in, it was supposed to be 750, and it's another 50,000 for the engine that we weren't expecting. So we're paying 800,000 for it. By the time we go to actually buy it, it could be 900,000 to $1 million.
Mm.
So do we suck up that potential for that extra for that engine? Or do we, not to mention interest rates?
Right.
It's,
and Todd, you said that some of the uncertainty revolves around the fact that there's some emissions.
Yeah, emission
Regulations.
standards that are gonna go into effect this year, but they haven't been outlined as to what they are exactly. The Freightliner, when I talked to them this afternoon, he's pretty comfortable with the budget number we have, that we're in that safe rate.
We don't get the tanker truck. Wasn't that part of the deal with the brush truck? Is the brush truck price gonna go up if we don't get the tanker truck?
And there was a 2 for a discount, yeah.
Right, so,
Yeah,
So we have that to consider too, so what type of action do you need for us to move, if we want to move forward? What are you looking for a motion?
I don't know if you wanna move with anything tonight, if you wanna think about it, but the action I would like to eventually get to where we can go forward with the lease, at least get the escrow, set up, so then you can start ordering these vehicles, because they're gonna take a while before they come in.
Right, well, we were talking about not having a meeting in August,
Right.
so that will then push this out until September.
Mhm.
So my question is whether or not we need to consider taking action tonight, or whether we want to wait 2 months and tackle it in September.
I would take action tonight, but that's my opinion.
Right, right, so what are you looking for us in terms of a motion?
About a motion to approve, the lease purchase over a 5-year term of,
Of the brush truck, tanker truck, and,
Yeah.
and town dump truck? Public
Yes.
Works truck?
yes.
Just
And
keep
I
it,
can
just keep it
talk-
generic like that,
Yes,
open-ended?
yes, because
Okay.
then I can get the correct price, more with Steve, so it's not the 1.543,
Right,
so it's a lower number.
right, and I think that tanker truck is lower than the 839 also,
Yeah.
I thought it was.
And that's beneficial,
Yeah.
yeah.
well, I know it's difficult to make, to make a decision without knowing what that third unit will cost, but I think, as my colleague has said, we're sort of between a rock and a hard spot, right?
Mhm.
So I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
So we have a motion to move forward on the lease purchase of the public works truck, brush truck, and tanker truck. Is there any discussion?
And that's over a 5-year.
Over a 5-year term.
5-year, yep.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, we're gonna vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Four D, Finance Director's line item transfers fiscal year 2026.
I didn't know the format, I tried to show each line item where they had a variance, outstanding balance, and to show the line items I'm taking from. I tried to stay within each department, some departments I couldn't. The finance department I couldn't. So you can see, from the finance 1101 department, the line item transfer from and to. To meaning it's where it's short, and from is where there's money sitting in. So I'd move it from a line item to the line item that's short. So these is a list of all of them. And the total on the bottom is 497,313.67, and it ties, the debits and the credits tied to and from. You can see on, I think, page 3, the SCARA tipping fee, that's a big one. So I explained to you how we're getting more revenue for that. So if I'm getting more revenue, there's more expenditure in there. So that's a bulk of it. That's 289,000 I had to transfer in there to cover the invoices. Snow removal overtime was another larger one. It was 34,000, and that was self-explanatory due to the weather. Town council, some of the legal bills that we incurred, 28,000 I have to transfer into there to cover the cost.
So what was the total amount for town council before this transfer? What was the total budget?
I can tell you. It's right here.
Because that doesn't include the labor legal matters, correct?
That, hold on. It's Department 1701, so that's their own separate legal. So town council. So it's not, you have labor issues, and I had money left over in there, labor. That budget is 20,000, 10,000 left. And then town council is 60,000 right now, budgeted. So if I'm moving another, what did they
So-
say, 28, so
So
it'd be
your
88,000.
expenses were 88,000.
Yep. And then town council has to do with, P and Z, it has all of that in here.
But I thought applicants had fees that they have to pay,
I would assume that, but I could research that, I'm from that, so
but
I
they don't
understand
show up
that.
here, they go directly into revenues, is that right?
Yes. I'll research that and tell you, but that's my assumption.
How frequently do we go out to bid for town council?
I'm new here, so I think we've had them for a few years. I looked at the prices and I compared, I think I gave that to you guys one of the meetings. They were within the ballpark of other legal firms, so it wasn't much of a difference, so I don't,
Okay,
I don't know how often they go out to bid for legal. From my history, it's usually when a new board of selectmen comes in, that's when they look at that.
right.
Not a current, stable one.
Just a question.
Absolutely.
Have we made any attempts, any movement on a new internet service?
Yes, we have. So, funny you should say that, there's a grant that, we applied for with the state of Connecticut, and we're gonna get, fiber optic for us at the town hall and the 2 fire departments, and it's a big savings for the town. So it's a whole process, that's probably almost a year out, so, it's gonna be first the fire stations and then us. And it's substantial savings,
I was just gonna say, 'cause I saw
Yeah.
the 2,500 over
yes.
for what we get.
And I just switched, Frontier for the recreation and senior center. So we got out, who were we with? I forget who we were with, but we're now with Frontier for both of them.
Breeze line.
Breeze Line.
It was like half, right?
I think so, yeah. It was substantial, and it's better internet, it's faster.
And just one more question, if I may. Difference, I think I know, but I just want clarification, difference between snow removal overtime and snow removal?
Salt, snow removal's the salt, and the overtime's the manual
Okay,
labor.
that's what I kind of figured, but I just wanted to verify.
Would someone like to make a motion to move forward with the transfers as presented?
I'll make a motion that we move forward with the transfers as presented.
Second,
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, we're gonna vote, all in favor?
aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Old business, 5A, update from superintendent regarding potential fiscal year 25-26 budget deficit.
Yeah, well, we plan to land a plane, we'll be under budget for our budget. As you know, tuition was under though.
Yeah.
Tuition is going to be about 161,580 and some change.
Short, we'll be short
Short of
160,
tuition.
about 100, so, okay.
Yeah, and the budget, we'll make the budget for the rest of it, and also just as an update, we're at 4.6 for tuition next year right now, as of now,
Okay,
so, which is above our estimate, so that's good.
okay, very good. No questions? Thank you. 5B, update on bonded projects.
I did a little summary in my presentation, financial director's presentation, but, right now, we went out to band for our sewer project, and that's at 2.2 million. That, we're gonna have to renew that, I wanna say in January, to determine if we're gonna, with the state of Connecticut and everything's going on with the SIF grant, we don't really know where we're landing yet with that, so fingers crossed, everything goes through, and I don't have to bond this project. That's coming up in January 2027. We received the USD payment, the 3.6 million for the water line. The grant payment of 1.5 million is coming shortly once the line is brought across 395. We use capital non-recurring of 600,000, and we use ARPA funds to fulfill the engineering costs for the water project, roughly 1.7. I don't know what questions, if you guys can ask me some direct questions.
Where are we as far as status and completion on the project?
Sewer or,
How about both?
sewer, we did pump training about a month ago. 2 weeks ago, we did the training on the dioxide system to treat the product that's gonna be pumped into GeoCities station, the sewer plant. There's some things to wrap up on a punch list there, and we're also waiting for a Davit crane to come, that's gotta be installed to be able to lift the pumps out for service. And we're waiting for the water to be put into that site. It's there, but it needs a meter and some other work from the water company. Then that should be complete. The water line, they've extended it from Oak Tree Village to this side of 395 as far as they can. They saw cut the other side today. They're gonna start working on the corner of the service road coming back to the bridge. And then they're gonna have to wait for the contractor that's gonna do the work on 395 crossing, coordinate that with the subcontractor. That'll complete that project.
Okay. And then the elephant in the room on the water tower, that's still gonna be another lingering item that we need to somehow prepare for financially.
I think that before long we'll have some definite answers. It's going to depend, a lot depends on the à la carte list that DECD gave to us.
Okay.
It's dependent on the development of the site. And we're hoping that planning and zoning keeps an open mind, and that we can, we have these people coming in, and we're hoping for a positive response.
Okay, so are we handcuffed where the water tower is our only option? Are there other alternatives in lieu of a water tower that are available or able to be explored? I don't know anything about this. I know the water tower, I've heard pump stations, I've heard a lot of different stuff, but
So
that's not my deal, so.
depending on what you have for development and where it is in relation to 164. So if you had something that was down gradient from 164, you could have enough head pressure for a sprinkler system without a wet tank.
Yeah.
You either have to go with elevated storage or you'd have to go with ground storage with pumps.
Okay,
And both are, relatively similar in price.
okay, all right, that was gonna be my next question.
The DECD stuff is all relative to what Heritage River presented,
Okay,
because that's how that SIP grant was submitted. So if they had so many units of housing, that's what they're looking to get. If they had so many square feet of commercial.
yeah,
Because that was, what I'm considering the anchor, it was at the end of the whole system, and that's what they agreed to achieve through DECD. So now they've broken down for the towns, so many residential units will send us so much money, so many square feet of commercial will send us so much money. Instead of one big project like Heritage River had, we fully completed to get that money.
okay.
And
And
they're
we're
gonna give it out in small.
kind of piecemeal thing, right, yeah. So with regard to the SIF money, that is still a work in progress?
Yes.
Okay. Favorable, cautiously optimistic?
Cautiously optimistic. There are a lot of moving parts right now,
Okay.
and we're trying to keep them all moving in the same direction.
Okay,
That's not to say that another meeting with DECD is going to be necessary. I think it is, and I think we're probably nearing that point to have further conversation. A lot's going to depend on planning and zoning.
it is an election year, so, you know.
I know. I know.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
ARPA funds, are there any remaining?
That's not allocated. We had a refurbished fire truck recently that was part of the allocation, so that bill will be coming in shortly.
Yes.
Was that 600,000 we gave towards the project, the water project, the sewer project, that's
Yes.
coming back, correct? Once it gets funded?
Yeah, once,
It was just to
yeah,
get the
Yes.
thing rolling.
yes,
Because I had gotten some questions on that,
yeah,
and I wanted to make sure I was giving out the right information.
yes.
Okay, moving on to item 6, any other business? Anybody have anything? Okay, we'll move on to 7, public forum, anyone wish to speak? All right, last item is adjournment, item 8,
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
all in favor?